Back in 1876, before the sun even touched the horizon, a trail boss once told his cook exactly what a cowboy needed before riding out for a brutal 15-hour day. It wasn't about taste or comfort. It was about survival. He wanted coffee so strong it could wake the dead, biscuits tough enough to survive being stuffed in a saddlebag, and enough grease to hold everything together. Today, that kind of breakfast would get torn apart by nutrition experts. Too fatty, too heavy, too extreme. But here's the truth. Most people miss those men weren't sitting at desks all day. They were riding, roping, lifting, and working nonstop. Their food had one job: keep them going. Take hardtack, for example. Straight from the tin, it was nearly impossible to bite. Dry, dense, and unforgiving. But cowboys had a trick. They dropped it into hot coffee, waited a few seconds, and suddenly it became soft enough to eat. It soaked up flavor, filled the stomach, and wasted nothing. Even the crumbs were swallowed down with the last sip. Then there was salt pork with molasses. Before bacon took over, this was the staple. Thin slices fried until crisp, then coated in thick syrup. That mix of salt and sweetness wasn't random. It gave both quick and lasting energy. And when proper cooking tools weren't around, cowboys improvised. Cornmeal batter cooked on hot stones became simple, flat cakes, cheap, filling, and reliable. Even coffee had its own frontier method. Without filters, cooks would crack an egg into the pot shell included. They pulled the grounds down and left the coffee clearer than you'd expect. Nothing was wasted. Everything had a purpose. And here's the surprising part. Some of these meals actually worked better than modern energy foods. But the next meals, they weren't just practical. Some of them were worth fighting over. Life on the trail didn't allow waste. What was cooked at night often became breakfast the next morning. One of the best examples was cornmeal mush. Leftovers were poured into a pan, left to harden overnight, then sliced and fried in bacon grease at sunrise. Crispy outside, soft inside. It was simple, cheap, and filling. Another classic was red-eye gravy. After frying a salty piece of ham, the cook would pour black coffee straight into the hot pan. It sounds strange, but it created a thin, smoky gravy packed with flavor. Poured over biscuits, it was strong enough to wake anyone up instantly. Cowboys also had clever tricks to deal with missing ingredients. When buttermilk ran out, they added vinegar to regular milk to fake it. That simple move kept biscuits light and fluffy, even in rough conditions. Sourdough flapjacks were another staple. Every chuck wagon carried a sourdough starter, sometimes years old. That living mixture turned into thick, tangy pancakes that could be eaten on the move. Cowboys would roll them up, grab a few, and ride off without slowing down. But not everything was about practicality. Sometimes there were rare treats. Fresh donuts, fried in hot fat, were so valuable that cowboys would trade for them. They weren't just food, they were motivation. Even canned peaches became something special. After weeks of salty meals, a sweet fruit topping over biscuits felt like luxury. These meals kept men going, physically and mentally. But the next foods, they didn't just fuel cowboys. They pushed human endurance to the limit. As supplies stretched thin, cowboys depended on foods that lasted long and delivered serious energy. One of the most powerful combinations was beans cooked with pork fat. Rich, heavy, and packed with calories. It kept them going through exhausting days. For recovery, they had unusual solutions. One of the strangest was a raw egg drink mixed with vinegar and spices, swallowed whole. It was believed to fix headaches and fatigue quickly. Then came pemmican, one of the most effective survival foods ever made. A mix of dried meat and fat, pressed into dense portions. It could last for months without spoiling. Even modern endurance tests have shown it can outperform today's energy snacks during long physical activity. Beans remained a constant. Slow cooked overnight, they turned thick and flavorful by morning. Cheap and reliable, they were a daily essential. When fresh meat wasn't available, jerky was used instead. Chopped and fried with potatoes, it became a hearty hash that filled the stomach and lasted for hours. Camp bread was another staple. Simple dough cooked into a large round loaf, perfect for sharing and wrapping around meat or beans. And then there was molasses. More than just a sweetener, it provided real nutrients like iron and minerals something modern sugar lacks. These weren't random meals. They were carefully built for survival and strength. But things are about to get even more surprising, because some cowboy foods weren't just unusual, they were shocking. Not every meal on the trail was purely about survival. Sometimes there were moments of comfort. One example was a sweet pudding cooked inside a cloth sack. Left simmering overnight, it turned into a rich, warm breakfast filled with dried fruits and syrup. When fresh fruit was gone, dried apples stepped in. Soaked overnight and turned into fillings, they became fried pies with crispy crusts. Hot, sweet, and satisfying, they were a rare break from the usual meals. But durability still mattered. Corn Dodgers were tough, dense biscuits, designed to last 4 days. Not soft or fancy, but reliable enough to carry anywhere. Sourdough remained one of the most important ingredients. Some starters lasted 4 generations. Cooks protected them carefully, even keeping them warm at night to keep them alive. Then came one of the most talked about dishes, Rocky Mountain oysters. What started as a practical way to use every part of an animal became a tradition. Experienced cowboys ate them without hesitation. These meals reflected a mindset: nothing wasted, everything used. But all of this leads to one final meal, the one that defined the cowboy life.